Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. I'm your humble French tarot reader slash deck goblin marine, and today I'm super excited to be talking about monthly favorite tarot decks, books, oracle decks, all of the things that made me smile in the month of February. I'm a little late this month to film, but you're gonna see I had extenuating circumstances. We're gonna talk about it. I still really wanted to show up today, film a video. I've got tons of cool books to share with you that I really loved, as well as a ton of decks, of course. As a lot of you know, I'm a huge tarot lover, and that's what I love the most to talk about on my channel. So gonna be some indie decks, there's gonna be some mass market decks, some tarot decks, some oracle decks, and a lot of books. And I love talking about books with you guys in those monthly favorites because there's a lot of you out there who share similar taste than me. We have a good kiki in the comments, and it's always a joy to share and read and exchange with you all. If you're new here, I want to let you know that in the description box you're going to find chapters so you can navigate. If you're just here for the decks, you can jump ahead. You will find all the names of the decks and of the books I'm going to mention today. So if you are thinking like, what the heck is this froggy French person saying, you're going to find all the information in the description box. You will also find down there my second channel, The Waves of Your Soul readings, where I post pick a card, readings, monthly guidance, and I put actually all of these decks to good use doing readings for you guys. We are, at the time of me filming, almost at 500 subscribers, so thank you so much for those of you who've joined already, and I hope you'll consider joining us over there, especially as I have a ton of ideas of different readings that I want to create for you all. So definitely go and check out The Waves of Your Soul reading. And it's my birthday at the end of March, so if you want to subscribe over there, that would be a lovely birthday present. Finally, in the description box, I'll put my playlist for all of my other monthly favorites. I know some of you guys have told me you like to binge those. I also do actually watch those kind of videos in a row from fellow content creators and tarot tubers. So if you like to binge those kind of videos, I've made a whole playlist. Little live catch up before I start talking about books. As you're gonna see today, we're doing hand scam, and that is purely because I'm filming this a week after there was a big cyclone in Reunion. Thank you so much to everyone who checked in. We were very lucky where I live. It wasn't the worst part of the island that got damaged. Definitely the biggest cyclone we've known in decades, and so there's a ton of work outside. People are fixing their roof, fixing their garden. So at the time of me filming, it's literally I have 1 hour during lunchtime where it's a little bit quiet. Other than that, all week it's been hammer, burso, wood cutting noise. Of course, I'm not complaining, it's completely normal. People are fixing their homes, fixing the damage post-cyclone, but it means that I didn't have time to put my lights out and set up to show my face and everything. I had to be quick and efficient if I wanted to do this video. So I hope you'll forgive me for doing hand scam and not showing my face and everything. Like I said, we are very grateful as we didn't have any big damage at home, unlike a lot of people on the island. But the island is still showing a lot of damage. You know, there's still a lot of people without water and electricity. There's still a lot of trees on the road. So of course there's a lot of work outside. People are trying to get back to a normal life. So I'm gonna try and be short and efficient today and try and film this in the lunchtime hour that I have. And what else do I have to say for February? Well, I think that's kind of it, to be honest. The main event was that, like I said, at the end of February we had a huge cyclone, which was pretty scary. Few days without electricity and water. We're just coming out of that weird month, if I'm gonna be honest. I had a lot of medical appointments. I've been changing my treatment as part of like my journey with chronic illness, chronic pain. So there was a lot of hospital appointment, there was a lot of medical appointment. So it wasn't a fun month, and you're gonna see that I've tried to counterspell the heaviness of the month of February with a lot of cute and fun decks, which were exactly what I needed. I'm looking forward to Aries season as I'm a fellow Aries, so I'm excited for that. I'd love to know how you guys are doing. What did you get up to in February? Do you have any fun things to share? Before I start talking about books, I do have one fun thing to share with you. Look at this gorgeous charging plate I found. I went to the market one day. I found this gorgeous charging plate for my decks. It's made out of ammonite fossils and resin. They're like handmade in Madagascar, and I'm using this to charge my decks when I'm doing readings. It's so beautiful, so I wanted to share it with you. That has definitely been one of the highlights of February. That's my little life catch up. Like I said, not much to talk about because I spent a lot of time at the hospital, but it did give me a lot of time to read, and so I have a lot of books to talk about. So let's talk about books. 4 books. I read them all on my tablet, so I'm gonna put an image here as I don't have a physical copy to share with you guys. The first series of book I wanted to talk about that I really enjoyed is called The Curse of the Sirens series by Helen Scheuerer. I'm not sure how you say that. And so there's 4 books in this series called A Layer of Bones with Danger and Song, The Fabric of Chaos, To Wield a Crown. And so this is a mermaid theme fantasy series of 4 books, and I loved that in this one the mermaids are depicted as dangerous and deadly and not cutesy, right? Because if you go back to the origins of mermaid mythology, they are monsters, right? They have this dangerous, alluring effect of being beautiful and singing, but once they are attracting men, they are told to devour them or drag them to the bottom of the ocean. So there's a danger side to mermaids, which sometimes we forget, that this book really brought back and that I really, really enjoyed. It follows Ro, who is a siren who lives in the Layer of Bones. It's part of this realm where sirens live. And in this mermaid-inspired society, sirens are cunning and fierce, and they particularly live for music. Music is their favorite thing in the world. So in order to bring music to their world, they steal humans from the above land to fill their realm with music, with their songs. So Ro, the main character, she's the daughter of a criminal. So she's lived all her life as a low bone cleaner, who is like the low caste of this mermaid system. They clean bones. Bones are used in building and to create different weapons and to create cages and buildings to add to their palace and cities, a layer of bones. So Ro is a lowly bone cleaner, but she's always dreamt of being more. And every generation of the sirens, there is a challenge, a certain trial that's being offered where anyone who wants to can challenge the queen of the siren. And if she gets through the challenges, if she completes the trials, she gets to become the next queen. So Rose has always dreamed of participating to this particular trial. It's her chance at getting more of her life, to prove herself outside of being a lowborn, outside of being a criminal's daughter. And so she really wants to participate in this particular trial, challenge the queen so that she can in turn write her destiny, right? So obviously I won't say more than that. I try to keep all of my book reviews spoiler free, and there's 4 books, so there's a lot to go through. But overall, it's a story of fierce and dangerous mermaids. There are flawed female characters who are badass and fierce, but who there's space for growth, like Ro at first is very passionate and fierce and fearless, but she also has a lot of flaws as an individual. But over the series, you realize that she's growing. She starts to understand that her way of life as a siren is not healthy, and that the way that they treat humans is not healthy. So there's a big character growth there, which is so interesting. There's a beautiful emphasis on friendship in this book. There's a little bit of romance as well, with no spice, but still a beautiful love story. So for those of you who like a little bit of romance, it's not the main theme of the story, but it's there. Beautiful friendship, great world building, this world of sirens, and it is epic. It's fun. I absolutely loved it. Honestly, I was so impressed. I read the 4 books so quickly. If you're looking for like a mermaid story or a fantasy story that will grip you, that has really interesting like friendship dynamics, like I said, and just a lot of cool world building, a lot of action. It is so great. I really, really enjoyed it. Like out of the 4 books, there was not one bad book, which is rare for me. Sometimes I struggle in longer series. I sometimes find that middle books can be a bit boring. This one, it was like 4 books. Every single one was a hit. And honestly, I really enjoyed this series. So I wanted to share it with you guys, as I think a lot of you will appreciate it as well. The next series of books I read was our indie books. Actually, they're indie books, but I love to be able to support indie authors, just as I love to buy indie decks for tarot decks. So the books I read are part of the Songs of Chaos series by Michael R. Miller, and we have 3 books out right now. The series is not over though, so I'll start with that. This series is not completed yet, but the next book is coming out very, very soon, so I like to point that out. But you still have 3 amazing books to get your teeth into, and then like I said, book 4 is due to come out, I think very soon this year. So the books are, book 1 is called Ascendant, book 2 is called Unbound, and book 3 is called Defiant. This is a gorgeous dragon rider story, full, again, fantasy. You guys know I love to read fantasy. This is definitely more YA, I think, a young adult, as the way it's written, but it was beautiful story of friendship between a boy and a dragon. The synopsis: this follows Holt. Holt is the main character. Holt is a young boy, I would say like teenager, and he is the son of a cook, so he's working in a castle. He's always was destined to be a cook, as people in this world always do what their parents do. So if you're born a cook, you're gonna be a cook. If you're born a smith, you're gonna be a smith, etc., etc. So he's the son of the cook, and he's meant to follow in his father's footsteps, training as a cook, meant to work in the castle, actually cooking for the dragons riders and their dragons, who are part of the nobility. As in this realm, the only people who get to ride dragons and to be dragon riders are noble. And the way that the dragons are evolving in this world is that they've been tamed by dragon riders. They have to be fed very particular thing, so the cooks actually have to have recipe books, and different dragons enjoy different kind of food. So what dragon eat is very important in these books, and also the food is very important, which, as a personal foodie myself, I loved all the attention to food and all the description about food. I thought it was really fun to read in a fantasy setting. Anyway, so Holt is meant to be a cook, meaning to follow in his father's footsteps, but again, he's always dreamt for more. He's always looked up to these dragons riders and always wanted to be one, but because of who he was born to be, it's not in the cards for him. And so these dragons riders in this realm are actually fighting what they call the scourge, I think that's how you say it, which are like hordes of evil monsters, hordes of evil creatures that are actually huge insects, huge bugs, and zombies, kind of like undead creatures that have been plaguing the lands for ages and ages, and that the only way to fight these undead creatures is through the help of dragons. And there's different kinds of dragons. We have dragons who breathe fire, dragons who breathe ice, we have earth dragons, air dragons, etc. But they are all the main weapon against these evil monsters that are plaguing the lands. So humans and dragons are fighting together to try and rid the land of evil, and Holt, our main character, is watching from the sideline, cooking for the dragon riders and the dragons, but always wishing he could be the one becoming a hero and trying to rid the world of evil as well. Until one day, Holt saves a dragon egg that was bound to be destroyed because the dragon egg was deficient. And so in this like dragon rider and dragon society, dragons are very proud, and so they always destroy their eggs that are defected, that are not perfect. And so Holt finds an egg that was meant to be destroyed because the egg is defected, and he decides impulsively to save that egg because he can't bring himself to destroy a dragon. He loves dragons so much that he doesn't understand why someone would want to destroy a dragon egg just because the egg is not perfect. And of course the egg ends up hatching, and Holt ends up bonding with the dragon that was inside, who actually ends up being a blind dragon. It follows the friendship between Holt and Ash, his blind dragon, both of them considered outcast, one being a cook and who was never meant to bond with a dragon, and another one a blind dragon who was never meant to be born in a society of dragons who regard dragons who are different or who have disability as dragons who should be eliminated. So it's a beautiful story of friendship. Obviously there's gonna be adventure, obviously there's a lot going on with the whole monsters, with the scourge, with the idea of this undead army and huge monsters who are trying to eliminate humans. I won't tell you more than that. This is just the premise of the story, but I absolutely adored these 3 books. If really the friendship between Holt and Ash was so moving. I love their relationship. The world building, having dragons of different elements, is fantastic. The food element, how it affects the magic of each dragon and of the dragon riders, is so well written as well. It was a really interesting thing. And for a dragon rider, dragon story, the relationship between the dragons and the humans who bond with them is super interesting, because normally, sometimes you read dragon rider story and it's all about, you bond with a dragon, and then suddenly the dragon has to do everything for the human. In this particular world, the humans have to do stuff for the dragons too, because they help through meditation and through magical acts. They help the dragon's magic getting better. So Holt actually has a big job when he bonds with Ash, making sure that Ash is well through different meditation, through different magic acts. So actually the relationship between a dragon and their dragon rider is very even and reciprocal. It's not like other books where, like I said, the human suddenly gets a dragon and then the dragon is becoming like an extension of the human doing what they want. Here, the humans have to give back through different acts. You discover it when you read, that can help in turn the dragons becoming more well and more powerful. So it's a beautiful reciprocal relationship between these beings, the friendships between these beings, the storyline, the world building, the magic system, like I said, so great. Really, really, really loved it. It was such a lovely 3 books. Again, not one book was better than the other. They were all equally good in my opinion. I love them. The last series I wanted to talk about is by VE Schwab. It was my first books by VE Schwab, and oh my god, I loved that so much. Again, honestly, only great books in February. I'm very happy. There was no bad books, so we love when that happens. And my first books by VE Schwab, but I love them. So if you guys have other recommendation by the same author, please let me know in the comments. 3 books. And this is, again, fantasy series. I would say this is a bit more adult, right? I don't think this is YA. I think it's more adult. I love the setting in this one because it was based in London. And you guys know I lived in London for almost 10 years. So already that was a hook for me. Anything that happens in London, I'm always like super interested to read. So in this particular world, we have different Londons that exist, which are actually different worlds. So different worlds coexist next to each other, different dimensions, different worlds, but in every single world there's a form of a London. We have a grey London, which is the world that we would live in, which is a world that is lacking magic. And then in the world adjacent to that there is red London, which is vibrant and full of magic. Then you have another world that's called white London, where here the magic is violent and turbulent and the people are struggling to live. And finally the 4th world was black London, but black London is now deserted. The world is closed. The world has been destroyed because in that world magic has taken over and everyone in black London has died. It's set up with this idea of like 4 different worlds. Each of these worlds has a London, but each of these worlds had a different relationship to magic. In this world, magicians can control elements, and only the rare magicians called Antari can control blood magic and travel between the different worlds. So we follow Kel, who is an Antari from Red London, so the London where the magic is vibrant, people can manipulate magic. It's a joyful world, it's a world full of passion, and he is one of the rare people in all of the worlds who can actually travel between the different Londons. So he works for the royalty of Red London, and he's in charge of going to grey London and white London to communicate with the royals there and kind of keep certain, I would say, diplomatic relationships between the different Londons. One day he goes to Grey London to go and see the king there, as the different royals of each London keep, like I said, a certain diplomatic relationship. And on his way to Grey London, a thief steals something very important to him that could change the balance of all of the world. This particular thief is our other main character, Delilah Bard, who lives in Grey London, so our London, the world where there's no magic, where life is harsh, especially as this is set up in, I would say, 1800. So Delilah Bard is a thief. She dreams of adventure. She wants to become a pirate, but she lives in poverty in London until one day she bumps into this strange boy, Kel, and decides to pickpocket him and steal something that she has no idea the extent of and has no idea could change the fate of all of the world. So again, I won't tell you more than that. I invite you to check this out. I'm keeping this spoiler free, but this whole series is so great. I loved the idea of having different London. I love the magic system, people being able to manipulate different elements, people being able to manipulate earth and fire and water, and these particular Antares being the only ones who can control blood. I loved the main characters who are all flawed but still endearing. There's beautiful love story in this. There's even a queer love story in this one. So for those of you who enjoy seeing that, there's a beautiful queer relationship in this trilogy as as well. You are exploring different worlds. They're definitely action-packed and beautifully written, and I loved it so much. So the whole series by VE Schwab, fantastic. If you guys have not read it yet, I highly recommend. And we're gonna wrap it up with a little book, easy, short. This is part of a series, but I've not read the whole series yet. I just read the first one. They kind of can act as standalone, so you don't have to read the whole series. First book definitely felt like it had wrapped up the story in itself. So that was Soulless by Gail Carriger. This is very different to everything I read so far this month of February. The best way I can describe this is Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets Bridgerton, as this is set up in this like Bridgerton era where, you know, we are in this like Regency London society, but in this particular Regency society, people, vampires and werewolves have become part of the society. They've been accepted in this world. They are part of the nobility and they are part of the regular life. And so our main character is Alexia. She's a 26-year-old spinster. As you know, back then, 26-year-old is considered too old to marry. She's like a bookworm. She thinks she's never gonna marry, and she's happy to just hang out, read books, eat cake. Honestly, I could totally relate with Alexia. She's such a fun character, but she has a little unique thing to her, meaning that she actually is considered soulless, and so in that way she cancels out any supernatural abilities through simple touch. In a world where we have vampires and ghosts and werewolves integrated as part of London society, someone who can cancel out supernatural abilities through touch is considered, you know, as you can imagine, something quite unique. So while she just wants to live a quiet life, reading books and eating cakes, she ends up getting caught up in a deadly investigation. This is a little steampunk, this is a romance, and it's a lot of fun. Honestly, this was so funny. Very much Buffy the Vampire meets Bridgerton. It was hilarious. I really enjoyed the romance, the paranormal side, the steampunk vibe. I enjoyed the like investigation. It palette cleanser for me, so I wanted to mention it. For those of you who want a funny paranormal romance book with a little bit of steampunk aspect, I think you'd really enjoy it. It was definitely an easy read, a great palette cleanser for me. So that's the last book I wanted to talk about. So now it's your turn. Let me know if you read any of the books I mentioned. Let me know if you have them on your TBR, and give me any recommendations. If you guys have any books you think I should check out, any authors you think I should check out, considering all the books I read, now you know my taste a little bit more, then definitely let me know in the comments the books you've enjoyed, the books you recommend, as I love to chat with you guys. And so without further ado, let's get into Tarot and Oracle decks, because we have a lot to talk about. So the best way I can describe my February mood was that it was divided between two themes. I was either super drawn to nature deck, earthy decks that really are connected to earth medicine, healing, connection to nature. And then my other theme was cute decks, happy decks, joyful decks, because I told you in the intro, the month of February was quite stressful. I had a lot of appointments and things like that, a lot of not fun things to go through. So when I was going to my cards, I either wanted something healing or something fun to, you know, bring some joy into the world and disassociate from the chaos for like 5 to 10 minutes. So we're gonna start with my healing earthy deck. So the main deck that I was using when I needed some healing, some gentle kind of earth medicine, was the Story Medicine Tarot Animal Woman 2nd edition. This is a deck I got towards Christmas time, I think. I got my copy from Salon des Arcanes, so they're a tarot shop based in France, and they delivered to Reunion, so I make sure to leave the description box where I purchased this. And this is such a powerful special deck, you guys. I'm very grateful this exists. I loved using this so much, and I'm still using it in March, that this could definitely be part of my yearly favorites so far, as I'm really very much impressed by this particular deck. This is very unique. It follows Jessica, the creator of this deck. You'll see she's like painted herself in most of the cards. It is her shamanic journey through her relationship with womanhood. So a lot of these cards are related to her like the different phases we go through as women. So there's like references here of menstruation and the woman's cycle, but there's also a lot of like ancestral healing in there, as well as a lot of nature medicine on animal medicine. So there's no guidebook with this, and as you can see, each of the cards actually has a keyword or a key phrase, and this is such a powerful, deep, moving deck. One of the most powerful healing decks that I own. This is truly earth medicine, it's potent medicine, it's feminine medicine, and it's also reminding us to reconnect with nature cycle, with our cycles, with the wisdom of the earth, of the animals, and I'm just so grateful that this exists. It's given me powerful readings. It's made me cry a few times. There's something so moving and profound about this deck. I think there's something so moving about Jessica's vulnerability in this deck. The fact that she depicts herself in all of the cards is very beautiful, very vulnerable, and yet very brave. There are a lot of whales in this deck. One of the main animals is whales, and obviously, if you guys didn't know, humpback whales are some of my favorite animals ever, and I'm just so blown away and grateful that this deck exists. Look at this Ace of Wands. Sit by the fire and remember who you are. So special. In a world that's currently determined to cancel out the voices of anyone who's not a white cis male, it is so important, I think, to have decks like this that celebrate a more like matriarchal society, wisdom that celebrate a more ecological wisdom. It's everything we need in this world right now. You know, I don't want to talk about politics, but everything that's happening in America is also affecting what's going on in France, which is also affecting what's going on here in Reunion. You know, we are part of the great web of being, so everything is connected, and we're all going through this weird shift, and we're all seeing this crazy white cis male thinking they can take over the world and thinking they can step on anyone who is different, who is not like them. And so a deck like this, for me, is really what I need at this moment in time. It's powerful, like I said, it's healing, and just look at this. I protect my vision from fear and doubt. Wow. She's literally holding her eyes out. Wow, wow, wow. Just very potent. So I'm so grateful this is out into the world, that this exists. This is definitely a contender for one of my favorite decks of the year so far, because I can't put this down. It's been there for me during my tough days in February. It continues to be there for me in March when I need something that is very much gonna reconnect me with my soul, that's gonna go and provide me with deep healing medicine. This is amazing. And the other go-to deck for that is, you guys are not going to be surprised because it's a deck I was already using last year. Of course, the Gentle Tarot. This is everything we need right now. Something that is decolonial, something that is nature-based, something that celebrates animals and everything that's not just patriarchal and capitalistic. And it's just so beautiful, right? So a lot of you will be familiar with the Gentle Tarot, so I won't be talking too much about it. One of my absolutely favorite decks of last year, I think it was number 2 in my top 10 tarot decks of 2024. I still absolutely adore it. I used it a ton since the beginning of the year again. It's just gentle healing. If I want something that connects to, again, earth medicine, something that connects to animal wisdom, something that is reminding me to reconnect to the great web of life, that reminds me of the interconnection of all of us. That's the idea of, if something happens to one of us, it happens to all of us. It's a compassionate deck, it's a kind deck, it's a powerful deck, it's a healing deck, and for that I'm so grateful. And the reason why I was also loving using this month is because my lovely friend Cassandra, who, if you're watching, I'm sending you so many hugs. She's like, you know, one of my favorite person on the internet. I love her so much. She has the channel A Rayful in Time and a shop The Rayful in Time as well, who stocks indie decks, where actually I got the Gentle Tarot. She so kindly sent me for Christmas the accompanying guidebook, which I didn't have. I was using the Gentle Tarot with the PDF guidebook up until then, but she actually so generously sent me the a physical copy of the guidebook as a gift, and I have been using it all month of February, and it's wonderful. I mean, I love the PDF, but it's so true that having the physical copy is so much easier and such a different experience, especially because I love to use this for bibliomancy. So this has been living on my bedside table, and what I do is every night I will do a little bit of bibliomancy and just take a deep breath and ask my guides what I need to know, and then I'll read a couple of sentences and it will be exactly what I need to hear. So let's do this actually. Let's see what message we need to hear today. Let's see. How is your emotional sensitivity lately? Are the problems of others affecting you too much? Do you feel in touch and grounded? Have you been compassionate enough towards yourself and others? The most powerful first step is compassion and kindness for ourselves. Honor yourself today. So maybe we needed to hear that today. Maybe that's the message for today. I definitely feel like in this, like I said, in this time, with everything going on in the world, taking care of ourselves is very important. There you go. Beautiful reminder to be compassionate and kind for ourselves and others. So I love this guidebook so much. It's renewed my love for the Gentle Tarot even more. And so thank you so much, Cassandra, again, if you're watching, because I'm obsessed using these two together. They brought me so much healing, beautiful messages. And between this one and this one, every time I needed something profound that reconnects me to this kind of earth medicine, these two are just amazing. Let's talk about the Peculiar Pathways Tarot by Lennox Rees. This is also a huge favorite for me for February. I loved using this one. This is an indie deck. I got this again from Salon des Arcanes. Can you get a theme here? I love to shop from them. Nicolas stocks amazing indie decks and mass market decks now as well too. If you guys are in Europe specifically, I think definitely check out Nicolas' shop, as he stocks a lot of cool decks. So goes as Hello Evely, and I love this deck so much that I'm super interested now to check out her other decks, which I don't have, but if I can get my hands on it, on her Oracle decks, I definitely would be tempted, as this is such a hit for me. So I've been using it again a lot in February, not just for myself actually. This is the one I ended up using quite a lot for other people. I used it on my channel, my other channel, The Waves of Your Soul Reading, and this is a deck that is a collage deck, but it's a collage deck using this kind of older, how do you call this? And it's like engravings, I think. So we have these beautiful colorful backgrounds, and then on top of it we have black and white engravings, and I'm obsessed with the juxtaposition of the colorful backgrounds. It's really well chosen symbols and objects and artifacts in the forefront. And the thing that impressed me really with this deck, as well as obviously the gorgeous art style, which I think is so cool. This is such a unique deck. I don't have any other deck that looks like this in my collection. And you guys know I have a lot of decks, like over 300 by now. For something to really stand out for me in my collection, it takes a lot. This really is so unique. I don't have anything that looks like this. What impressed me is not just the choice of the art style and how unique it is, but it's the intention behind each object, each symbol, and the way that it's all explained in the guidebook. So this comes with a PDF guidebook. You could also buy the physical copy. At the time I didn't, because it was gonna make it very expensive to ship to me with the physical copy of the guidebook, but I've been referencing the PDF non-stop, and it is so good, you guys. The guidebook is so well written. I'm so impressed. One of the best guidebooks I've read that comes with an indie decks in a long time. It explains everything, like why is there a box, or like a safe, why is it this animal and this animal. Every single thing is explained, every single symbol. It is made with intention. You can tell a lot of work, effort, intention was put behind each card, the composition of it, object, each symbol, and I'm very impressed by how great this is. And this is actually that I've loved using for career reading or work reading, or anything that's related to like material world, finances. You know, I've done some work and career readings for my friends using this deck, and it really read so well. So this is one of my go-to now for anything material related. It seems to be really loving reading for these kinds of themes, anything related to the pentacle realm, I will say. I don't know why this deck loves to read for that, but you could read with this for anything, obviously. And I've been thinking about trying to read with this for past lives reading, actually, which is something I want to do. I'm curious to see how it would read because of the like imagery being more based around less people but more symbolism, I think it could be super interesting for past life reading or even mediumship reading. So I'm curious to try that in the next months, but already for any kind of work, financial thing, like day-to-day things, pentacle realms kind of reading, this was wonderful. And like I said, I've read for quite a few people with this, as well as myself, and everyone loved it. I think it's also not a threatening deck, so if you are looking for a deck that people will not be scared of, sometimes tarot decks can be a little bit scary to people who are not familiar with decks. They tend to have preconceived ideas of what tarot is. I think this one is actually very accessible for people who are not familiar with tarot. If you want to read for someone and they might have certain preconceived notion about tarot, this one I don't think it feels scary in any way. It's actually quite accessible and beautiful. So I really enjoyed reading with this. Everyone I read with this really enjoyed it. So definitely a favorite. Love it. Another favorite for February has been the Steampunk Fairy Tarot. We're starting to go into the cute category now. I told you I either had healing kind of decks, earth decks, or a lot more cutesy and happy and joyful. So we're starting to go into the cutesy, joyful category now. This is a mass market deck by Pamela Chen, illustrated by Ashley Cassidy. I am so impressed with this. Specifically, the guidebook in this one is really good. And this is now a deck that I would totally recommend to beginners or to people who are looking to learn tarot. So it's, as the name suggests, Steampunk Fairy. It's a deck that is dedicated to fairies in this steampunk world. So I've actually edged my copy in gold. We have different kinds of fairies or creatures for each of the suits. So the major arcana is very regular steampunk fairies. For the cups, we have selkies, who are kind of creatures, fake creatures of people who can turn into seals. For the pentacles, which is actually my favorite suit, we have gnomes, and they're giving me tinkerer vibes from D&D. I love them. They're my absolute favorite. For the air suit, we have more winged fairies, your stereotypical winged fairies. And then for the wands, we have salamanders, who are these fiery creatures also linked to the Fae world. Super cool world building in this, with different suits giving you different creatures and different vibes, and a very adorable art style. But the thing that really impressed me the most with this one was how accessible this is, how beginner friendly this is, and how well the guidebook is written. So if you are looking to buy a deck as a beginner, you're looking for something that is going to be easy to read with, that is going to follow the RWS, but with obviously a little bit of a different vibe, right? If you like this vibe more than a stereotypical RWS, then I think this is a great option to start with. This is a great beginner deck because the guidebook is really well written. It will hold your hands. There's wonderful spreads in there. For each of the cards, you don't just have the explanation of the card, but you also have an affirmation, you have a clockwise, so an upward kind of meaning, you have a counterclockwise, so this is if you want to read reverse, and then you have this, what they call the ignition, and the ignition is actually steps, actionable steps you can take to put into action the card. So when you're doing a tarot reading, sometimes, especially as a beginner, I remember when I started, you could pull cards and you get your message and then you're like, okay, but what do I do now? It's great, I get the Empress. I know the Empress is about abundance and about feeling good within oneself. It's the archetype of the mother, great, but what does it mean about my day, or what does it mean about this job interview, or what does it mean about my friend's date, right? How do I apply that to real life? And I find that the guidebook with this particular deck, especially the ignition part, is a good part to put into action, to give you actionable steps to move away from the tarot reading back into regular life. If you're looking for a gift to give to someone who wants to learn tarot and they want something a little bit whimsical and again not too scary, right? Because again, this doesn't look very occult or threatening. This is sweet, it's cool, it's a little bit fantasy. I think this is great. This could be a great gift to someone, and I've really enjoyed reading with it. Again, I used it in pick a card readings on my second channel, the Waves of Your Soul readings. I did a reading where I was either pulling energy from the dragon realm, the mermaid realms, or the fairy realm, and for the fairy realm I used this deck, and it was a great reader. So a great mass market deck discovery for me, one I will definitely be continuing to use, and one I'm happy to recommend to people in the future. And the last thing I wanted to mention, we have a lot of different skin tones for fairies, which is not something we see a lot. A lot of the fairy decks out there are not very diverse. It's a lot of like white skin fairies. This actually has a variety of skin tones, which I thought was a really nice addition and something that we don't see a lot of. So really enjoy this one. Super fun fairy deck, great guidebook. Love to know if you guys have this one. If you enjoy it, let me know in the comments. Again, you know, I love to chat with you. Okay, now we're fully going into the cutesy, lively, joyful category of this monthly favorite. Let's quickly talk about this one because I've pretty much talked about it in every single videos I've made recently, so this is not going to be a surprise. But of course, I have been loving the Forest Spirit Imprint Tarot. This was a Kickstarter I backed last year. Look at this cool box. This was out of print for a bit, and then it's been back out in print. Tevada had it on pre-order, and then they had it in print. Literally, last time I checked, which was like 2 weeks ago. Now I don't know if it's out of print again, what's going on. It seems to be going in and out of print, but I know a lot of you managed to get your hands on it when it was back, and I'm happy for you guys because everyone deserves this gorgeousness. Look at this gorgeous back, look at this gorgeous edging, and like I said, this is a Kickstarter I backed, and I'm so happy. One of my best Kickstarter, honestly, because this is such a joy. Another very, very strong contender for me for favorite of the year. I'm obsessed. I don't ever want to put this down. I've used it a ton, and I am still continuing to use it in March. It's just everything I love personally when I want something sweet and cute. It's giving me Studio Ghibli vibes, which I adore. It is giving me fantasy world, which you know I love. I'm a huge fantasy nerd. I love that this follows a little girl who is discovering a world. Each suit we have different beings and different part of the world. As you can see, the fire suit is very much following these like fae fire creatures. The pentacle suit, she's surrounded by sprites and little animals. In the cup suit, she's underwater and discovering underwater creature, and so she's the main character, this little girl, and you follow her along, and she's oftentimes with her bird familiar and oftentimes surrounded with sprite and spirit, and it's just this beautiful magical world. Again, very Studio Ghibli and absolutely adorable. I love the art style so much. I love that on a lot of the cards she's with this cute bird, chubby bird, who honestly I would die for. This bird is so cute. I want one. I want to be riding a bird myself. Please, can I? It's just so joyful. Look at this 5 of Cups. I love it so much. And what I love about this deck is that whilst it's super cute and sweet and gorgeous and everything my inner child would have wanted, like if 6-year-old Marine wanted to read tarot, this would have been the deck she would have loved, you know. But I also love the fact that the harsher cards in tarot, or the more serious card, I would say, you know, like the Death card, the 10 of Swords, etc., whilst it's a cute deck, the heavy cards still deliver a punch. So I really appreciate that, because sometimes the cute decks, they can sugarcoat the heavier cards in tarot. This one does not. Like the 10 of Swords still feel very sad. You feel the grief. The Death card I thought was quite powerful. Yeah, look at this 10 of Swords. We see this fox who's been hunted down. It's so sad, right? Like it's really sad, and I just think it's powerful still, and so it still delivers the punch, the grief, the sorrow of a 10 of Swords, despite the fact that the rest of the deck is cute. The cardstock is very strange. It's very plasticky. Can you see? Very, very plasticky. So I would say I'm not my favorite, but you know, I don't really care too much about cardstock. I just thought I wanted to mention it because some people will not like that, I'm pretty sure. Although it does make it very flexible. For those of you who like to riffle shuffle, this is very flexible. But if you don't like plasticky cardstock, then you will not like this deck at all. I just love how it brings me to this magical realm. It excites my imagination. It helps me to escape. And as February was not the most fun month for me, this was perfect to disassociate and escape to a magical world. I've read with this again on my YouTube other channels, the Ways of Your Soul readings, but I've mostly used it for me as I'm enjoying it so much, and it just makes my inner child so happy. The Forest Imprint Tarot, again, I don't know if in print, out of print, temporarily out of print, I'm not sure. It was back not that long ago, as I had a ton of DMs and emails from you guys telling me you managed to get your hands on it, so that makes me super happy. My other like main 2 decks for myself for the month of February for this joyful cute vibe was these 2, the Everybody's Tarot and the Everybody's Oracle by Sarah Caitlin. Again, Kickstarter decks. Kickstarter this year has been hot, you guys. I received a lot of Kickstarters from last year, but I've also been backing a ton of Kickstarter, and I had told myself maybe it's time to slow down the Kickstarters because sometimes it's a hassle. They take ages to come, and then you have to keep an eye out, and you have to kind of like constantly check if you have to give your address, and sometimes you never receive them, and it can be a bit of a pain. But there's been so many good Kickstarters lately that I couldn't help myself. Like I think in February I backed 3 Kickstarters. I backed the one about the pirates that I know a ton of you backed, the one about women pirates. It was by the same creators that did the Baroque Tarot, which I have and loved actually. And of course it's about women pirates, so I can't say no. I backed one about whales, an oracle about whales. I backed the Dreaming Waves Oracle because obviously I had to have the Dreaming Waves Tarot, so I needed the Oracle as well, obviously. And then I saw that in March we're getting the Cracked Amethyst Tarot, which I'm so pumped about. So there's just so many Kickstarters happening. New Year resolution of slowing down on the Kickstarter is not happening, but you know what, it's okay. I'm very grateful. We have so many cool people who are actually out there creating decks, and I'm very happy to support indie artists, especially when I love what they're doing. So my resolution has flown out of the window, but I'm happy to be a patron of the arts and to support all these fantastic artists. And these are definitely a couple of decks I'm so happy I backed on Kickstarter because they are so cute. So these are, like I said, Everybody's Tarot, Everybody's Oracle by Sarah Caitlin. Sarah Caitlin is a UK creator. She is known for these kind of like squiggly, cute, childlike, in the best way possible, right? I say childlike as a compliment, drawings. She has a few decks out. These are her most colorful one, but she definitely has a few decks out, and I'm pretty sure she's working on a grief tarot or oracle that again will come on Kickstarter this year. That looks really beautiful and quite powerful, so I'm excited to check that out. But these are my first 2 decks from her, and I'm obsessed. I'm so happy to have the deck, the tarot and the matching oracle. I've used them a ton in February for myself. I'm yet to use this for someone else. Actually, I pulled a couple of oracle cards for friends and sent them, you know, pictures of the guidebook, which was very sweet, as especially like one of my besties obsessed with this kind of art style. She's like, this is my favorite tarot deck you own, you know, because she loves this art style. That made me happy, but I just love these 2 so much. It's joyful, it's childlike, it's colorful. I love how simple, clean it is, and yet it seems simple, but it's deeper and more profound than you think, especially the oracle deck. The way that it's written, the messages, is very much healing, and it's very like self-empowering. It's very encouraging and supportive. So I really enjoy the way that the guidebook is written for the oracle deck. Do we have a guidebook in the tarot? I didn't even check because I just read it with, yeah. For the tarot, it's a lot more pared down. You just have some key phrases, very RWS inspired. So for me, I don't need the guidebook personally. And yeah, this is so sweet. I think you could read with this for any age, obviously, if you have kids, if you have a younger audience, if you're doing readings in a place where you know there's going to be like kids and stuff, this would be perfect. Or even big kids like me. We love that as well. I need to do a reading for you guys using this on the Waves of Your Soul readings, because I need to share this with you. I don't want to keep this for myself, so I'm definitely going to be doing an inner child reading soon. We're going to be using this deck because it's so perfect and it deserves to be shared. I posted a picture of these decks on Instagram and I had so many comments about it, so I wanted to share it again in this video because I know a lot of you love this one, and for good reason. It's adorable and really well done. Let's talk talk about the Spring Weight Tarot Stars Edition. This is by Tarot Collectible. They are based in the UK. They are an indie company who specialize in RWS with a twist. This one is obviously in the theme of spring, and because it's the Stars Edition, you can tell it is sparkly AF, and I live for the sparkle. And this is my favorite card, the Ten of Wands, which I never say about any deck. Normally I see the Ten of Wands and I'm like, oh hell no, not this again. You know, the Ten of Wands, for people who navigate chronic pain and chronic illness, is oftentimes a sign that you've run out of spoons, that you've done too much, that you've pushed yourself, that you're in the middle of a flare-up. So when you get it, you're like, fuck my life, right? But when it looks like this, with these gorgeous daffodils, I love it. So the only Ten of Wands out of my whole tarot collection that I actually like to see, because it's just gorgeous. I love the sparkles, I love the color, and it's just such a joyful deck. Obviously the theme is spring, but for me it's a deck I can see myself using all year long because I live somewhere that is tropical, so it's kind of spring and summer all year long for us. And this is a deck I used a ton in February and beginning of March, because I have filmed recently and posted them all recently a whole series of videos on the Waves of Your Soul readings where I did spring 2025 readings for all of my zodiac signs, so a video for each of the signs where I explore the energies for March, April and May. So even if you guys are in the southern hemisphere like me, you can still watch the readings, it will apply. It's just that I call it spring because most of my viewers are in the northern hemisphere, but technically it's for March, April and May. We look at the energies of the months. I pull you an archetype card, I pull a daily card, I pull tarot cards, and I use this deck for every single one of my signs. And I did not get bored, you guys. I did 12 readings of 20 to 30 minutes each, so that's a lot of readings, a lot of videos using this deck only in terms of tarot, and I did not get bored, which is very rare for me. Normally, if I do like 12 readings in a row using one tarot deck, I would get bored. I'd want to switch it up. Even if I go back to that deck after a while, I would want to, change things up. I'd get bored. I'm an Aries, I get bored easily. This did not bore me at all. I still want to use it now, even after filming all of these videos. If you want to see how this deck reads, obviously, if you want to see it in action, make sure to check out my zodiac readings for spring. And whilst you're at it, you can subscribe to my readings channel and join us over there, as this is where I love to put all of these gorgeous decks to good use. I have 2 more decks to talk about. I'm going to try and wrap things up because I can hear them starting to move again and make noise very soon, so I need to speed things up. Let's talk about the Take What You Need Oracle. You guys, I'm obsessed with this cute little deck. It's a mass market affirmation deck. I paid less than 10 euros for it and it was the best money I've spent. It is super sweet. Here are the backs, and I've been using it a ton for wrapping up readings, specifically on my second channel, The Waves of Your Soul readings. I've been using it for myself. I've been pulling like a little affirmation a day, send pictures to my friends when I'm like, hey, I'm thinking of you. And they're like, hey, can you pull a card for me for today? And I just send them a little image of the card and they love it. It's an adorable deck. There's no guidebook. You pull a card, the message is on the card. It's all dedicated to affirmation, self-love, and this is such a joy. It goes so well with all of my cute decks, so well with the Spring Weight Tarot I've showed you, with the Kawaii Tarot, with the Cookie Story. Any kind of cute deck, this is so cute with it and so joyful and colorful and lovely. And the messages are actually quite healing and profound. So I love the combination of cutesy with useful. I think it's a really good mix of the two, right? Set fire to your fear and you will spark growth. The juxtaposition of healing and impactful messages alongside adorable art style. This is another one that I had a ton of messages from people saying you'd seen it in my haul and picked it up, and I'm very happy that you guys are enjoying it. And this is, I think, another one that would make a great gift. I actually gifted it to one of my besties last year. She loved it, and then I was like, you know what, I want it for myself. So I ended up picking it for myself. I'm very happy I did, and I could see myself gifting it to other friends as well, because it's just great to like pull a little message a day. This is wonderful. I love the Instagram account of this creator, Positively Present. They always share beautiful graphics on their Instagram, so a great little addition to my Oracle collection. And the last deck I wanted to talk about today is the Birds and Flowers Tarot. This is an indie tarot deck I got on Vermillon Collection. Birds and Flowers, you can get two versions. You can get the pocket edition or the regular size. The regular size is the flower deck and the pocket size is the bird deck. They're the same other than the size. Same artwork. The only thing that changes is the box. In the pocket edition, it comes in a tuck box. So here are the backs. And this has been a deck I personally have been enjoying using when on days where I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed and where I needed a deck to address like day-to-day matters, things that are related to my day-to-day life. I did a lot of readings around my medical appointments, for example, and my hospital appointments. And I wanted a deck that was going to be clean, straight to the point, and not make me biased on one way or another. I would never do health reading for someone else, but I do them for myself. Like I do readings around my physical health because I live with dynamic disability, so chronic health, chronic illness, chronic pain is very much at the forefront of my day-to-day life. It would be silly for me to not read on my health, considering it's such a huge part of my life. It affects my life so much. Impacts my life so much. Some days I'm able to do things, some days I'm not able to do things at all. Some days I'm completely bedbound, and some days I can live a more normal life. So of course my health is like super at the forefront of my life. And when I want to do readings regarding my doctor appointment, my chronic illness journey, etc., I like to go to decks that are clean and straight to the point, where I'm not going to be overwhelmed by a ton of details, but where I can get straight to the point messages, right? And this is great because it's a hybrid between a pip deck and a fully illustrated decks. Some of the cards are more fully illustrated and some of the minors are more pipish. So this is definitely a perfect in-between if you want something that's not fully pipish, but that is kind of dipping your toe into the pip pool, and I think this is great. I love the color coding of the different suits. I love that there's no faces on the people, so you can project yourself in it. I love the minimalist art style that is still very colorful, because whilst I appreciate decks that are more pared down when I want to do health reading and you know, day-to-day kind of readings, I still want color because I much prefer colorful decks than black and white. I have a few black and white decks, but overall I am a color lover. So this is great. It's clean, simple, straight to the point, and I really appreciate it. I can definitely see myself using this for other people as well. Again, if you want something clean, straight to the point, easy to use, colorful, I really appreciate this deck, and that's my favorite card. I think this magician is so cute. I'm starting to lose my voice. My candle has blown out and I can hear them starting to make noise outside, so that's my cue to stop the video here. I've talked about all the decks and books I wanted to talk about anyway, so now it's your turn. Let me know in the comments the books and tarot and oracle decks you've been enjoying lately. If you have any current favorites, let me know. Let's chat in the comments. I want to thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for watching, for being here, for your presence. I appreciate you so much, and until my next video, I'm sending you so much good vibes. I hope you're having a beautiful month of March and keep navigating the waves of your soul. Bye!